exactly where it comes from, but the tradition was that when we come to take the Lord's Supper, especially women, you have to have something on your head.
Right.
Yeah, I know. You've been taught that, not knowing really what it all about. There's nowhere in the Bible where it teaches that, but that's what you were taught. That's what you were told. Nobody can find any biblical reference to that. And people would be hustling, putting napkins on your head. When I first came there, I saw that and I had to stop because it didn't look good. You didn't bother to find or buy you, as they were called, a chapel cap. But the ushers was telling you that you had to, and folk walking up here holding pieces of paper on your head. Why? I don't know. That's what we do. That's what we were told. Now, if you come to Bible study, I can explain to you better why that's not a biblical teaching. And what having your head covered really is all about. If you give me a chance to teach. But the question still stands this morning. What is it all about? What does it mean? Why do we do it? First of all, as stated, because Jesus instituted it. It signifies the coming of a new testament or a new covenant that God now seals or confirms with his people. That's what the Lord's Supper really signifies.
Yes, sir.
The fact that Jesus, when sharing in the last Jewish Passover, when they had a roasted lamb and cups of sweet sauce, sometimes it was some form of jam made out of grapes to cover carry over the aftertaste of the bitter herbs that was also taken at that feast. And it had several cups of rituals that they passed. And after Jesus and his 12 apostles, Judas included, had shared in his last Jewish Passover celebration, he tells Judas that which was in his heart and mind to do against him, go and do it quickly. And thereby leaving Jesus and his 11 apostles. And Jesus takes the unleavened bread that was left from the Passover supper and the wine, unfermented, freshly pressed grapes. The wine that they shared in the Passover was used for what Jesus would now institute as the supper of the Lord. That's what the Apostle Paul calls that celebration, the supper of the Lord. Jesus takes the unleavened bread, and the absence of leaven signifies the absence of sin, because yeast or leaven represents sin. And Jesus' body was sinless. Right. Jesus lived a perfect life, an obedient life to his Father. And he was now ready to present that life, his body, that perfectly sinless body, as the ultimate sacrifice for the sin of the world. And likewise, we are told he took the cup after saying that the bread is my body. Now, the reason why we have some under the umbrella of Christianity that holds to transubstantiation is because they contend that the this in the verse and the body, the word body, is neuter, and thereby it does not imply symbolism, but realism or actuality. And that's why there are some who contend that the bread literally transforms into the actual flesh and body of Jesus Christ, and the wine literally transforms, because Jesus did say, "This is my body and this is my blood." And as a result, the teachings of substantiation, consubstantiation, and transubstantiation is a result. Well, we as Baptists by denomination, Christian by profession, we do not hold to the interpretation of this and body and this and blood is in the neuter gender, which implies actuality or literalism. We are of the persuasion that when Jesus said, "This is my body," he was simply saying that the bread symbolically represents his flesh and the wine symbolically represents his blood, but yet in a mystical way. He is very much present with the elements. So we don't want to be too hard on the other schools of teaching, simply because they try to justify transubstantiation by implying the neuter gender. Well, substantiation implies that Jesus is with the bread and the wine. Prepositions are used. Consubstantiation says that Jesus is under the bread and the wine. Transubstantiation says that Jesus is literally the bread and the wine. Right. But we believe that he is symbolically, mysteriously